Okay, good day, everyone. I'm glad to welcome you once again to this edition of the Blaze Connected Construction Series. I believe you all can hear me from wherever you're joining in from. So just to confirm before we get started, if you can hear me very well, just type yes in the comment section so that we can get started. Okay, so I can see, yeah, so thank you for the confirmation. So today I have in the house Engineer Alonge Olusola, who is a civil infrastructure engineer and also a BIM expert that is based in Nigeria. He's also a civil 3D and Autodesk InfraWorks trainer, as well as a drone pilot. So today we'll be talking about drone technology in construction, generally how drone technology can be leveraged to improve our workflow in the construction industry. So Engineer Alonge, how are you doing today? It's glad to have you in the house.
I'm doing great. I'm also happy to be here to actually share a bit of what we've experienced so far in this part of the world, and also how we could actually get better. So it's actually great to be here and also to be on this platform. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're very much welcome. So I'll be asking you quite a number of questions. So
Okay.
just like the typical sessions, the target is to have this run for about 30 minutes. And while we are discussing and having the conversation, if you have any question, feel free to type it into the comment section so that we will address your question as soon as we finish the conversation. All right, so the first thing I want to ask is that today we hear of numerous terms like drones, photogrammetry, laser scanning, scan-to-BIM, and so many terms. So it's sometimes it can be confusing. So what exactly is drone technology, and what are the various types of drone technology you have in the industry today?
Okay. Probably I'll just first start by clarifying some things, because you just said today we hear about the all these terms: photogrammetry, drone technology, laser scanning. The truth is, this has always been around us. It has been around for a while, if not a decade or more. All these technologies has been around, but the adoption in our industry has witnessed a slow pace. So right now we are experiencing what we call a shift, a paradigm shift, whereby all attention is going towards the technological advancement and technological adoption in the AEC sector. So that is why we are seeing more of this, and we are hearing about it more often as we progress day in, day out in the industry. And to actually give a clear overview of what all these terms stands for, just like photogrammetry, which is obviously what we've been seeing all around even before the advent of drones. That's whereby you make use of area photographs, or probably area footage of an area to, aggregated together to generate maps, and then some other informations to be used. And then you talk about laser scanning, whereby all these laser beams equipment, for example, not advertising, LiDAR, has been used to actually generate 3D as built model of any entity as much as possible. So all these things have always been around. But right now we're talking about the drone technology. Drone, just like we all know to be an unmanned aircraft. Either it can be controlled remotely, can be autonomous, either way we want it. This has also been around, but the adoption in our industry is witnessing a huge attraction from every sector, be it the construction from inception or design stages. So, and then this is what the technology brings to our industry. It gives us the flexibility and then the adaptability, which we've always been looking forward to. There's always been a bridge or a gap between the existing and then interfacing with the proposal. That's the existing and what we intend to actually come on board with. So, and then between you and I, or probably based on the experience we've had, the experience we had so far, this is actually a game changer for us, and The drone technology basically means the adoption of drone, which I already described as an unmanned aircraft, to actually aggregate data, collect area information, probably do area quantity measure. Just for example, people who are into quarry, you can easily measure the volume of your material, your earth movement, and whatever you want to by actually having a drone to scan that area. And then these data are already processed over time. And so these are the technologies we are talking about. These are what this drone technology is a game changer in the construction industry as we speak now. So we are expecting more of this disruption over time. So it's something we should actually look forward to. And then the drone technology in itself can be seen as an adoption of probably robotics, because a drone can also be seen as a robot, a flying robot, as my friend used to call it. So a flying robot adoption of this, and then making use of the power it entails to actually enhance our workflow and then make work easier for us. For example, not just saying for now, back in the days when we want to report project progress, we go through the means of, oh, can I get a cameraman? Can I get someone to climb a tower crane? I don't know if you know of all these high-rise buildings. So you have the tower cranes, and you get this cameraman to climb a tower crane to actually give you an area shot of a project, or you engage area service of an helicopter, or probably some other high-end equipment to actually fly around your project to get this done. But this technology now, as we speak now, has made it easy for even a startup construction company to easily facilitate and enhance, make use of this drone technology to project or showcase the project they are working on. So this is the technology we are talking about, and this is what is been doing in the industry. As we see it, it's been around, but right now the industry AEC sector is witnessing a huge turnaround with this typical workflow of adopting drone technology.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for that in-depth explanation. But also, I believe there are different types of drones in the industry today,
Yeah,
maybe in terms of size or application. So, can you also shed more light on the different types of drones we have in the industry?
yeah, there are many types of drones depending on the what's called the application. Just like I
Yeah.
said, right now I'm speaking more of the AEC sector because that's the industry I find myself. In the agricultural sector, in the what's called the logistics and this logistics sector, whereby they do delivery chain services. So this drone application cannot be overemphasized in those areas, whereby drones are being used for deliveries of items, deliveries of, we can see, we read from journals and all like that. So we get to see all these applications. And then in the agricultural sector, we get to see where drone is being used for fertilizer application, pest controls, and all these are what even being used as a boom sprayer. Way back in the agricultural sector, probably if you talk about the boom sprayer for pesticides and all this, you'll be talking about maybe you have a gigantic motorized equipment that is actually moving around the farmland. But right now you have a drone hovering around the farm area and covering a large area at a time. So, and then we also talk about the other sectors, which what's called now the power sector. They make use of drone for inspection of their utilities and services. So all these applications are wide, and then these affect the types of drone we have. By popular demand, there are some leading drone manufacturers, DJI. Talk about Wintra. You talked about, there are so many drone manufacturers which I can't be mentioning as many names as possible. But there are popular ones which is obtainable, or which is being used in our sector. You talk about the Wintra, you talk about the EBs, you talk about DJI Phantom series, DJI Inspire, and then you talk about DJI Matrices. So these are few ones that are applicable, that you can easily have access to, that are available in the industry. And then there are many other manufacturers, like I said, those are just not the manufacturers that are in the industry. There are other manufacturers, but the ones that are easily available that we can have access to in the AC sector, based on our usage and based on the information we want to get from them, these are the basic manufacturers we can really see around. And these drones, what makes them different is because the imagery or the image capture are always geotagged. So I've been asked some questions over time, like, okay, I just have a drone, then I fly a drone. Then I keep telling them that, okay, the drone you are flying might not be able to give you a geotagged image. So you have to look at the classes of drones that you need tailored towards the solution you demand. So there are different calibers of drones, and then there are different classifications based on your demand. If you want a drone that you want to use for maybe just video footage of a site for progress reporting, you have a drone for that particular function. And if you're going for something for mapping, area mapping with high accuracy, then you'll be talking about drone with high camera lenses, drones that has LiDAR function, drones. So those are the different calibers of drone that we can easily have in the industry at the moment.
Okay, yeah, thanks again for the clarifications. Yeah, so during the delivery of a building, of course, there are typically various stages. You have the planning stage, the design stage, the
Yeah.
construction, and the operation stage. So, during these various stages, what are the various applications of drone? Like, how is the drone technology applied during these various stages of a building? Maybe before the construction, during the construction, or even during the operations phase. Where do you see drone technology being deployed
Adopted.
immensely?
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, let me just give a quick chronological order to which we can deploy drone in a simple, let me just say, a simple project or a simple construction process. Number one, at the inception of a project, probably at the planning stage, you definitely need what's it called now, an existing information around your site. You really want to know what is existing above the surface, what is existing around the project, and then probably what is existing beneath the surface. So the adoption of drone technology, what it brings to the table is you can easily do what we call a reality capture of the area. You use your drone to scan the area, and then you generate a 3D dynamic information that can be used for your planning. Like you're an architect, you make use of Revit. There's something called point cloud. After I use a drone to scan an area, I generate a point cloud that I can easily,
Yeah.
yes, I can easily use that as a base, just like something for a base to start your design. Also, drone can make use of drone at the inception of your project to generate the base map. That's someone who is into civil 3D or infrastructure planning. You can scan an area, generate the base map, and then use that to actually start your conceptual planning and design. We make use of that in civil 3D infra works. So these are where you can easily use all this information. And then you generate point cloud also. So moving on from the planning stage, you move into the design phase. After you actually move to the design phase, all you're doing is to process the information you've captured with your drone, and you have series of what's called a cloud processor, or you have series of applications that can process drone data. And what are the data you get from drone? You get image files, which are the images that was captured on site, and then you process these image files to either DEM, DTM, or whatever. DEM is digital elevation model, DTM terrain model, and then when you talk about architect, what they actually make use of or what they consume in their own applications is point clouds, or probably the FVX file or a 3D model. So all these are what comes into the design phase. So after the design phase, you move to site and start construction. So what drone can easily even give you at the construction stages to probably help you in coordinating your setting out, and then giving you a accurate field report. Probably at some point you need to see your project from a particular dynamic view, and then you want to see the way the project grows over a period of 1 month, 2 months. So you can easily autonomously program your drone to take the picture of your site at a particular angle with precision over time, and then this gives you a dynamic update of how the project grows over time. So that's just what it gives you from the planning, from the design, and then to the construction stage.
Okay, yeah. Thanks a lot for the in-depth clarification as usual. So today as well, we hear of terms like building information modeling or
Yeah.
GIS, BIM, all these technologies, that tend to kind of sound like buzzwords sometimes. So how do you see drone technology complement of these trends that we also see BIM and GIS in the industry, especially from an infrastructure perspective, because a lot of times it's mostly infrastructure engineers that use GIS a lot. So how do you see drone complement BIM and GIS?
Actually, probably I keep saying it at some discourse or at some forum that BIM has actually been the one that exposed or probably gave us a better understanding that wow, we can actually make use of drone as part of our workflow. Over time, like I said, drone has been around. We've been seeing it. People have been using it. But at the moment where we realized we could actually harmonize or create a closed loop workflow whereby no data is missing and with great accuracy from inception, then BIM or build information modeling is a process that actually be driving the adoption of all these other tools to have a more robust workflow system. So if you look at it very well, drone data comes with GPS information. All the images or whatever you're getting from your drone is already geolocated. So these informations are easily integrated alongside with your GIS inputs, and all these workflow are combined together, and then you can easily have a better information, a better understanding of your project from inception. Just for example, just as a case study, looking at an infrastructure project of an area, and on getting to the site, you are being told that there are existing utilities on this site. So all you need to do is probably okay. Let me create a 3D point cloud or probably create a 3D environment to which I will start my conceptual design. A drone is being deployed. Once you deploy your drone, you can easily merge the GIS information that replicates the utilities that is on underground, merged with your drone information, combined with some other information. Then you move into a 3D enhanced environment like civil 3D or infraworks if it's infrastructure, or basically if it's Revit or some other BIM compatible software. You can easily harmonize all this information together, and then you have a very closed loop network where no data is missing. You have less error, and then you have more precision to actually work with. So this is what we are experiencing right now with GIS, drone technology, and building information modeling. The workflow is becoming more honest, and then we are actually targeting a more precision at the output for this technology.
Yeah, so drone helps to gather more information that eventually feeds into the tools that you
Is
use to
that
create the
yeah,
models. And
exactly.
okay, yeah, that's quite clear. So coming down to Africa now, I mean, both of us we are currently in Nigeria, and as the African market is one of those emerging markets with a lot of opportunities. So where do you actually see drone technology? What's the untapped opportunities you see for the technology within the build sector in Africa? I mean, just laying emphasis on the opportunities. What makes drone technology a great fit for the African build sector, from your
Yeah,
perspective?
like I always tell my fellow professionals, the major thing is if you look at the African market, if you look at the African build sector, is actually a prime sector for many dynamic things to come. Because right now Africa is still developing, and then there are so many infrastructure gaps. If we look at the statistics, probably from some journals or publications, we definitely see that Africa is actually the home to which all these things can actually be deployed, and we see the output, and we actually appreciate the outcome of what we are seeing. So the build sector in Africa is ripe, is really open to actually leverage on all these platforms that is actually coming out in years, and then in years to come, we hope to see more advanced and sophisticated workflow that will actually speed up work and then speed up the development in Africa. So the deployment of drone, or let me say the importance now, we cannot just be overemphasized. Number one, for example, the initially when we want to actually acquire data, maybe you need an area data of a site. I know the process you actually go through to actually get an area information of a site. You go to Google Map, probably okay, you go on Google Map or Google Earth, for instance. You might not, okay, for example, in Africa, in my area, probably the information is not well updated to what it was yesterday. Probably I need an information on Google Earth that reflects an activity that has been done in an area probably last month. So on getting there, you can't easily have this information on Google Earth because the main satellite has not passed through that area at that particular time, and it hasn't been refreshed online. So this technology comes in handy for you to actually deploy and get a real-time, as accurate as yesterday information of your site. So that's more or less like drone technology is helping us to do a real-time mapping, and then you can easily process this information and get your own image map without having to wait or go for extra or pay extra to external satellite map supplier for you to make use of. So those are the advantages we'll be seeing. And then number two is what we're looking at is the construction progress reporting. It hasn't been as good as what we're experiencing now, whereby there's huge demand. Even as we see the market is still crawling, which obviously we expect to see more of this. There's huge demand on drone for project reporting these days. We definitely see projects coming up, and then an area progress report is expected to actually showcase and to have a more definitive information on how the project is moving. So that's another thing. And then the third one is inspection. Well, we've seen facilities or buildings whereby you and I can have the risk of actually climbing some skyscrapers, for example, is enormous, considering the fact that when you have a building that has curtain walls. So at a point, you need to inspect a particular segment of a curtain wall on your building, which you're talking about 55 floors or something. And at the moment, maybe you've actually what's called demobilize your what's it called, your tower cranes or whatever you have in assessing those parts. With a drone, you can easily send it up there, take a closer look at what is happening, and then you can easily make a recommendation to say, okay, at so point, this is what is obtainable, and then this is what is the solution will be, or probably this is still okay. So without having to lose your workforce, without having to subject any individual to any threat, you could easily get all this information. So basically, we're looking at for mapping, for progress reporting, for inspection, and so many other things which we could actually make use of drone for. Right now, we call something digital twin. Definitely, this is probably one thing that is trending all around the world now, whereby you really want to create something that is going to be built, or you really want to create an existing object, then in a reality capture environment, and see how you can enhance and upgrade it. So creating a digital twin now in infrastructure or in the building construction environment is really, really interesting when you have a drone support. Mind you, I'm not writing out the fact that there are other equipment like LiDAR equipment that can be used, but with drone technology, you actually have an edge, because right now people are actually harmonizing drone technology with some other technology to get a better or a more informed result. So creating a digital twin drone is also leading the path in helping us in inspection, in reporting of your project progress on your site, and then for mapping, that's area mapping, and then basically you can use it also for topographical survey.
Wow, yeah, that's quite a lot. So obviously there are a whole lot of different applications. But yeah, I'm also intrigued by the fact that this can actually help to reduce safety issues on sites. I mean,
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
actually able to inspect a site in real time, you can be able to identify where there are safety issues on that site. And I think that will actually help to reduce all the hazards we experience on a lot of sites today.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the clarification. So one last question I actually have before we begin to look at some of the comments is, I mean, today we also live in a very peculiar country. I mean, using Nigeria as a case in point,
Okay, sorry.
a lot of time you see all these regulations and some of these policies that come up that tends to kind of limit the freedom to explore some of these technologies. So what are the common challenges of drone technology in the build sector? I mean, using Nigeria now as a case in point, what are the challenges you see around this technology?
Yeah, probably using Nigeria as a case study and using myself as an example. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
actually, it's been a battle, back and forth, because if you see the developed world, there has been a regulation in place whereby the drones doesn't get into the hands of terrorists or some individuals that might use it to actually hurt or harm other individuals in the society. So in Nigeria, probably we are still slow with coming up with that regulation, or we are still slow in coming up with a black and white documentation that is going to actually control and then give us the liberty to say, yes, I'm a drone pilot. I can actually deploy this at any of my project site without being harassed or without being disturbed by any security outfit. So for now, the modus of operandi, or how we approach things, has actually been, if I have a project site and I need to deploy my drone, definitely one thing I always look out for is to actually do my reconnaissance of the area, inspect the area if it's a no-fly zone, because definitely there are no-fly zones which is already stipulated. You are not meant to fly in those areas. When you talk about the airport, talk about military formations, you talk about some maybe hospital facilities that doesn't permit or allow such. So all these information, so you must have it in your handbook. So your handbook should serve as a guide to tell you, okay, these areas are no fly zone. 5 kilometers around this area, you shouldn't be flying. So all the once you have all these, you have it in your handbook and you go anywhere, and then you understand that okay, I'm not supposed to fly here. But in an area whereby you really need to fly, all you need to do is you get like a security pass, or you get just like we did for a particular project we did around a security formation. We already have a pass. We approached the security formation. We showed them our pass before we started our project. So with that, we could actually fly our drone without being harassed or anything. So, but nevertheless, there has been some process which is still not open to the community, to the society yet, or to professionals yet, whereby you can easily go there and then filing. I'm not saying there's no process here, there's a process, but whereby easily, because one thing is the ease of doing business is very key. So if we have a ease of actually applying and getting a certification that is already publicized, or there is online link whereby you can easily register. So yes, individuals with drone we approach and get licensed or get registered in order to actually deploy them on site. So, and we actually need this to be fast tracked so that this technology can be well appreciated in Africa or in Nigeria so far. Because it's one of the main things that has been holding us back a bit in this in the adoption of this technology. Many a times I want to fly, maybe I have a project down south, I need to fly with my drone. On getting to the airport, I won't be allowed to fly with my drone because I need what's it called a clearance to actually get that on board. Initially, in the early stages of drone, we fly around with it. There was no disturbance. We could actually move freely, but because of the security threat we have here, which obviously is understandable. So definitely, right now you could actually you have limitation with your movement, and definitely this will actually affect our adoption of the usage of drone in the construction industry. Definitely, hopefully, maybe there will be associations that will come up and then will help to actually fast track and then meet the government to come up with a policy, an open policy, whereby individuals or professionals in this line can thereby get easy access to all these licensing and regulations to control the usage around the country. And once this is done, believe me, you this is going to be very, very interesting for professionals in the industry, because the speed at which the adoption is moving is something that is wowing us, and then the demand is also high for the technology in Nigeria and in Africa.
Yes, I also look forward to that because I'm sure that there are a whole lot of other untapped potentials that are there that once these challenges are out of the way to really go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before we round up, I'd just like to ask these random questions just to, just to show us beyond your drone capabilities. So
Okay.
I just have two random questions here, which is the first one I have is what's your favorite football club like? I'm sure that I'm sure that you watch football, maybe you're not like me. So
Yeah,
what's your
I do. I
favorite
do.
football
I
club?
do. I do. I'm an Arsenal fan. I always an Arsenal fan. I've always been and will
Oh,
always.
okay.
That's all.
Wow. Okay. I don't want to talk too much about that one. Okay. Okay. So the last one is what's your favorite pastime? I mean, when you're not an engineer, when you're not flying drone or doing
I
training on
can,
civil 3D and all that?
I love to go on hiking almost every other weekend, and though I've never had
Oh,
the chance in the last few months now, I'm looking towards going on hiking soon.
wow. Okay, that's great. That's really great. So it's been a great time. It's also a pleasure to have you share your experience and your knowledge with us today on this series. So at this point, we just like to go through some of the comments and see if there are any questions. And also for to the listeners, if you have any question at this point, also feel free to ask perhaps to the engineer in the house today. Maybe anything you want to find out about drone technology or maybe about the build sector as pertaining to technology. Feel free to type your question or comments in the comment section. I already see some comments though, but these are not questions. Um, Buda Emma Okore say this is interesting. Thanks for your comment. And then Seratius Kika, hi guys, thanks for the webinar. Yeah, thank you very much as well. So if you have any questions, you have just a couple of minutes to go so that we can attend to any of your questions. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So far it appears I can't see any. Okay, there's a question here from Sheun Akim Bodunse. Hope I pronounced it well. So he's asking what's the accuracy level of using the drones in construction.
Oh, okay. What do you mean by accuracy level? If I should understand it, is it when you're doing survey? Because when you talk about accuracy level, you look at when you're using drone for mapping. Basically, if you're using drone for mapping, the desired centimeter accuracy, which everybody always want, is not always achievable directly. But we still have to do something we call a combination of a ground control. So we set up a GCP. That's if I should understand this question very well. If you're talking about accuracy level, that means you are mapping. And if you are mapping with a drone, then you have to actually have what we call the ground control point to augment your drone data so that you can increase your accuracy level to the nearest centimeter as possible. Nevertheless, there are some high-end drones. Like I'm saying right now, there are some high-end drones. Basically, when you talk about all these high-end drones, they give you more accuracy. They give you more accuracy, close to centimeter accuracy, but you still the cost is always on the high side. But when you're looking at the one that we easily have access to, just like the one I'm using, when I'm deploying my drone, I always still use the rover GPS equipment to set up ground control. So when I say what I call the ground control point, I could actually map and use this to increase my accuracy level to the nearest centimeter. So that's
Okay.
just it. Yes.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. And some people here are also asking if there's a training or certification. This is from someone LinkedIn user. I say, is there a training on drone technology? The next question is also similar. Thanks for the webinar. Is there any training or certification? So I don't know if you know of any, but I suppose that I mean on the LinkedIn learning platform, you might find some courses on that. But I don't know if you
Yes.
know of any other one.
No, for now I don't know of any for now, but definitely just like our sister, this thing will come up with a module that will actually address this technology lap or gap, so we can see how we can get interested people on board and then move on with the adoption of this technology.
Okay, so you can always reach out to him as well if you need more information on that. And they also have a question here. Say, if for example I have a 30-story regularly shaped building and I need to carry out an as-built operation for a facade architect,
Okay,
I don't
okay,
know.
okay, okay. Yeah, for this one now, probably you're using a drone to scan your building to get a great accuracy using drone. There's something we call overlap. you have to have a very good overlap setting, so that because when the drone is capturing the images, it's going to have enough overlaps to process a very detailed what's it called for you, a very detailed model for you to use in your maybe 3D operation. Probably you have a 3D mesh, or you have a 3D built in Revit or whatever 3D software you want to make use of. So the settings is actually there for you to play around with. For greater accuracy, generating building model, you play with the overlap of your capture, and also the camera you are using, the camera that is mounted on your drone, enhances the accuracy. The better the camera, the better the output. If you are using the basic 4K camera, you still have something. But when you are now talking about using some Zonum's camera, some high-end camera mounted on your drone, you are good to go with the best of 3D model that you can use as a facade architect to achieve your end goal.
Okay, so thanks for all the answers. And of course, this live session is always there on my profile. You can also type in your comments at any time, and if I cannot answer your questions, I will relay it to him to help address. So at this juncture, I can't see any new question. So thank you everyone for your time, and we do this every 2 weeks. So we try to have to hear from so many other people. So
Okay, okay. I think
some
there's a
another question
question.
came in. Okay, I think before we round up, we can address this one too. Say, is the topo data from a drone survey enough to do an infrastructure design? Can I do without a TS?
What's the TS? I don't
Is
know
it
what
topo
that TS
surface?
stands for. TS.
I'm calling clarify on what you mean by TS.
TS means a lot to me, so I probably don't know which one of the TS.
Are you talking about a topo surface, or I don't know what you mean by TS?
So, like you said, is topo data enough from drones survey enough for to do infrastructure data? Yes. What I always tell people is, if you desire a particular level of accuracy, if there's a
Okay,
standard level of accuracy that is demanded from you, that determines if it's enough or not. For example, if you have within the range of, let's say, 50 hectares of area for infrastructure development, and you're using a drone to map that area, definitely you have to look at the two things. Like I always tell people, is the area, is it free from foliage? What do I mean by foliage? Is it free from tree canopies? If you have tree canopies in those areas, a drone scan of that area might not give you enough accuracy for your design. You might need to actually combine it with a ground topo. But in an area whereby it's an open field, in a savanna area whereby you don't have tall trees, all you have are just shrubs, and where you probably can see the land area as much as possible, a drone will actually give you a very good stunning data which you can use for infrastructure design. Okay,
okay.
you
So
said
TS
it tells
data
a
station.
total
Yeah.
station. Is if you combine, like I always tell people, I really don't make use of total station for topo now. What I make use of is the GPS combined with my drone. So with it, to boost my accuracy, I set a ground control point. We call it GCP, like I said earlier. I set up a ground control point. Once I set the ground control point, at the point of processing my drone data, I input all this to actually correct to the nearest centimeter for me to make use of in my infrastructure design.
Okay, so there's a question after that. Is it laser scanner or drone
For
for a
startup, yeah,
startup?
please.
Yeah.
A drone laser scanner is an expensive gadget. It's worth having, but it's worth an investment if you really have the finance to actually go for it. It's always good to go for the best, because you can't just go for laser scanner and go for the cheapest that won't give you the accuracy you desire. But for a startup, we can still have a reasonable drone that can give you a desirable output, which is comparatively lesser than a good laser scanner. So I'll go for a
Yeah,
drone for startup. Yeah,
yeah. I think you want to get a good laser scanner. At least in Nigeria now, in naira, you should be budgeting close to 20 million thereabouts. At least from the best of my
exactly,
knowledge. So if you
exactly.
have that budget, then you are good to go. So there's also this one last question. I say I'm a graduate of civil engineering, planning to go into construction technology. Please recommend me to reach resources to begin. construction technology. Well, I think I will also chip in a bit on this. Construction technology is something that's also very wide.
Yeah,
So you might want to be very specific on which aspect of construction technology. If you're talking about technology in construction, there are so many innovations coming into the construction industry today, which is even why at the beginning of this session we had to clarify the difference between, just talking about drone related stuffs. You hear so many things, photogrammetry, laser scanner, so many things. So this is just relating to drone, and then start talking about rapid prototyping, 3D printing, prefabrication. There are so many things in the industry, so it's very good for you to specialize on which aspect exactly. So when you're able to define where you're going, then it will be easier for you to now get your get your
direction.
resources, yeah, or maybe get help too from people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think we are right on time. So at this point, we'll be ending the session. Thanks to everyone that have been a part of this discussion. So, like I was saying earlier, we do this every 2 weeks. So, in 2 weeks' time, hopefully, we'll also have another person talk about a different topic, something that has to do with technology in the construction industry. So, we also look forward to having you in the subsequent session. And to our guest today, Engineer Alonge, it's really an honor to have you today to share your knowledge with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, we also look forward to having you in a subsequent episode or edition.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here. I always welcome the idea. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just before we round up, I think just before we go, I don't know if you have maybe any advice or recommendation, especially to the younger professionals in the industry. I can see that a lot of people that are here today are civil engineers, younger professionals. So I don't know from your experience if you have any other advice you might want to give to them before, as a closing remark before we round up.
Okay, probably I always just drop this remark because it's basically the ladder which I followed or the path which I chose. When you see where a path that is less charted or a path that is less followed, always follow that path and be a solution to every problem along that path. That's one thing. And if you see the way the industry is now, there are so many. Like the last question this young graduate just asked is construction technology. There are so many arms. If we have to break that construction technology, then there are so many arms. Look at it holistically. Look at the one that we actually fit into your own part and follow that path. Definitely, there will be less people who have started that path. You definitely look out for people who are already on that path and then get up and then you keep going. Never and don't look back because sometimes where the problem starts is when you look back and say, "Oh, I would have loved to go that way. Why did I choose this path?" So you keep on, and then before you know it, consistency is what makes everything looks real at the end of the day. Consistency is what. So whatever you choose, if you are choosing build information modeling, you choose a part. Okay, I'm going to be going into infrastructure modeling. I'm going to be going into building modeling. I'm going to be going into structural modeling. This is the part I want to be delivering. I want to go into drone mapping. I want to go into 3D modeling with drones. So all these are already there. You just identify it, follow that path, and be consistent. With consistency, you are good and better with what you're doing, and then you'll be sought after.
All right. So thank you very much for the closing remark. And also thank you to everyone that made it to this session. You can always rewatch this. The live recorded session is there on my profile, and we also look forward to having you subsequent episodes. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.